Nigeria's consumer price indexes increased to 17.33% in February. This is the highest in 4 years. The National Bureau of Statistics says food inflation also grew by 21.79% year-on-year compared to 20.57% recorded in January. The headline inflation for month-on-month also increased to 1.89% from 1.83% points. The upward movement in food inflation was caused by increases in the prices of bread, cereals, fish, potatoes, yam, and other tubers, vegetables, meat, oil and fats, fruits and food products. Meanwhile, core inflation increased to 12.38% in February compared to 11.85% in January 2021.
Well, for a closer look at the inflation figures, financial analyst Eze Onyepere joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. I guess the basic question then would be whether the policies put in place by the Nigerian government to bring down inflation and all of that, are those policies working at all? Why are we here with this figure, 17.33% inflation?
Well, the policies put in place evidently are not working. If they were working, we should have seen these figures coming down rather than they are heading up at every given opportunity. Well, we are not surprised at all, particularly if you look at the food index. We have the insurgency or banditry all over the major food producing parts of the country. Farmers are no longer able to farm as they should or even to harvest. So we are not surprised that the price of food items are going up. If you recall, we had increases in the price of petroleum products recently and also increases in electricity tariff. And there are also further proposals to further increase them. So this is just the logical outcome that these things are happening and we are having increases all over the place. Of course, we also have a situation where we are borrowing a lot of money in foreign currency at a time more or less the naira is being devalued. So a lot of our imports are also increasing in the price of the price of imports. So at the end of the day, this is all coming into the economy and hitting us all at the same time. So I think that we need to rejig those economic policies that the government is putting in place now, think them through in such a way, because what the impact of all this is that there will be increasing poverty, and this is also coming at a time where unemployment is also increasing. And of course, we had negative GDP figures in 2020. So we need to think through every policy, economic policy that we are putting on the table to make sure that it is not worsening or deteriorating an already bad situation.
The fact that the CBN just not too long ago would not increase interest rate, the MPR. They decided to keep most of the numbers the way they were as part of managing inflation, out of fear of having to manage inflation that way. Does it mean that we're using what should have been a fiscal policy management of our economy, we're using monetary policy to manage it?
Well, what it shows clearly is that what they are proposing is not sufficient to curtail inflation. If you recall, we even have a scenario in our hands where we have about $25 billion in ways and means, which have been repaid long ago by the government to the CBN. And contrary to the CBN, we are now proposing to make them long-term borrowing from the CBN. And what do we mean by these ways and means? We are talking about money that the Central Bank of Nigeria is supporting the Nigerian government to fix the deficit, which is not backed up by any value. So if we're complaining about inflation, we got to get to the roots. So a lot of the policies that they are proposing cannot solve the problems as they stand, because the challenges are quite complex. And so it's not just a question of returning the MPR that will solve the problem. We have to tackle quite a lot of things. And the first major thing we need to tackle, if we are serious about improving the economic situation, not just inflation alone, is the insurgency. Let people be able to go about their normal businesses without fear of molestation or without fear of losing their lives or properties.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have to go to break now. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.